Hello. So today I'm going to go over a technique that we talked about in class, which is creating an index and using that index to compare two different series of data. Now, in this case, I've downloaded GDP data for Australia quarterly, and I've downloaded GDP data for the OECD total. And this is, cumulative GDP data for 30 different countries. And as you could see, the data has different scale. Australia is but of a fraction of the OECD total. And you could see how this could pose difficulty if I wanted to graph both of these series of data being different scale. Now, of course, one thing I could do is I could create a simple percent change for Australia and percent change for the OECD and show how the two have changed over time. But another technique is to use an index and show how the index has changed from some start period. In this case, it's going to be Q1 2008. So first things we have to do is create the index. So our base period is going to be the first quarter of 2008. And right here in this cell, I'm going to create the first series. So I'm going to take um, the base period and divide it by the base period. So you can see it's going to be 1. I'm going to set this 2 decimal places. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to want to use the autofill and autofill this across. But what I want is I want this number to be divided by the base period. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to take the base period, I'm going to put dollar signs there. So I'm going to hit F4. Notice how there's dollar signs? Now that means when I autofill across, B7 will never change, but the numerator B7 will change to C7, D7, and E7. Okay, so hit enter. I'm going to do the same thing for the OECD. I'm going to take this, oops, go back to here, hit equals, take this divided by the same cell, but I'm going to put dollar signs there, as you can see in the formula bar, hit enter, and I'm going to increase decimal places. Now watch, highlight to both cells, and I'm going to autofill across all the way for my entire time series. And as you can see, I have a nice index. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the time series right here, copy it, I'm going to put it right above it, and then I'm going to copy the labels here, place it here. Now I'm going to highlight the whole thing. Oops. And I'm sorry. Let me just go. I'm going to highlight this to right here. And I'm going to go to insert. And let's create a line graph. I'll hit a line graph right there. Now take a look at this. Now let me put this in its own sheet. Move chart to its own sheet right here. Now as you can see, this does a nice job. Here's Australia. Here is the OECD. And this is special right here because the value of 1 is how things have started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that a little darker. I'm going to insert my own line. I'm going to place it right along here. I'm going to darken that line. I'm going to increase the weight. And click, I'm going to make that black color. Black. Now take a look. So what do we see here? We see how you could clearly see how since the base period, which is Q1 2008, Australia has been growing much more than the OECD total. And as you can see, the OECD total actually was contracting. Of course, this is consistent with the global recession, but it seemed like Australia has been immune to it. Now, isn't this a nice comparison between a much larger time data series, the OECD total, and seeing how a smaller time series has grown in comparison to it? And you could see that the value at the very end, which is 111, simply means that Australia has grown 11% since the base period. Look at the end period right here is 102. That means the OECD total has only grown 2% since the base period. So this is a very effective way to show how two data series with different scales have changed over time. Okay, that's all for now.